Welcome to the Wellness on Tap podcast with your host, Dr. Debs Eastwood.
So you said you've just come back from seeing a client this morning. You busy?
Yes. In a nutshell, yes. But it's all good things that are ramping up. Lots of exciting new additions and developments going on with the business and with what I'm offering and things like that. So, yeah, exciting times.
Oh,
busy.
Wonderful. So we need to unpick all of that.
How long have you got?
Oh, excellent. I do like the sound of that. So what do you want to start with first? What's on the top of your mind?
Okay, so coming off the back of just delivering a client session, once again, it's reminded me of the importance of managing our expectations with not just this kind of work, but with just what we want from our lives in general, the direction that we're going in. Because I remember listening to, I believe it was Tony Robbins talking in one seminar, and whether he coined it or not, you know, it might have been from somebody else, but it's often that we overestimate what can be done in 6 months, say, but we underestimate what we could do in 5 years. And so, yes, we might not change our world in 6 months, but if we trust the process and we keep focused on the vision, even if the path has to change or be tweaked, modified, it meanders a certain way, the vision stays the same and we will get there, quite possibly even further along in a few years' time, just maybe not in 6 months, you know. And
Fair, yeah.
This was, again, reiterated to me by my client this morning because things are going in the right direction with him, but he's very aware. Thankfully, he's listened to me and he's also got his head screwed on well that it's a process and things might not completely change overnight, but with repetition, consistent action that's purposeful in the right direction, things will change and we've just got to keep rolling with it, keep that momentum going.
It's so much about you thinking, the client, having that thought, that positive directional thought, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And respecting the fact that we're human, you know, and our emotions and thoughts go up and down, but overall, the main thing being positive and going forward.
Absolutely. That's it. Like you say, we are human. We're not robots. And so some days are going to be more challenging for various reasons than others. And oftentimes, some unforeseen circumstances or events are going to crop up and potentially throw a spanner in the works for that day or the day after. But that's okay. We expect the unexpected things to happen now and again. And as I said, as long as we keep the focus on the big vision, what we're looking for, what we're working towards, a few little spanners in the works here and there, it's no big deal in the grand scheme of things, and we've just got to maintain sight of that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that because that's life, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's life. So you're changing what you do a little bit with clients? So from what and to what?
Mm-hmm. So this process has actually been happening over the last year or so, realistically, where I've been developing the way that I work with my clients and also shifting the people that I'm working with a little bit more towards the entrepreneurs and the business owners and the people that are already having a fair level of success, but they want more. And so it's more about now dealing with any psychological, emotional, sometimes physical issues that are holding said people back, sorting those things out, and then enhancing their performance and taking them further towards their goals on a more expedited path and working a little bit more in depth with the business side of things as well. And so it's marrying the mindset up with the strategies that are going to take them to where they want to be.
Because the performance enhancement reminds me of where your background is, which is as an elite athlete in martial arts. So you've got a lot of experience of that side of things. And then after that, becoming a businessman. So you're quite uniquely placed, I have to say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I like to think so. But it's funny how back when I was competing, I didn't necessarily see the translation into business and that kind of world. But now it's almost the most obvious transition in the world because, as you said before, when you're operating at a high level in sport, in my case, martial arts, competing at a high level, the tools that you have, the skill sets that you have, the mindset that you have to get you to that point and to perform to your absolute best is highly applicable in the business world then as well. And so it's just modifying the strategy again, but the end goal is it's the same. It's just a different context.
Yeah. I mean, that does make sense, doesn't it? Because, I mean, I have never been elite in sports of any shape or form. But partaking, yes, but not on an active, regular basis. So I don't know anything about that world from the inside. But from the outside, it's obvious. You see it, don't you? If you ever watch the Olympics on telly, for instance, you know, the athletes with their coaches and their trainers. And what I was amazed about was the different types of trainers that these people have that give them all the input.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another thing that is so easy to be overlooked. But if you look at any athlete in any sport, if they're operating at a fairly high level, if they're competing internationally, let's say, and they're representing their country, they will have at least one coach. You know, they will have the sport-specific coach. They'll probably have a nutrition coach or a dietitian or nutritionist. They will probably have a strength and conditioning coach. They'll probably have a massage therapist and physiotherapist, you name it. And before long, you've got a team of X amount of people. And depending on the level that they're at, as I say, if we're looking at somebody like LeBron James, for example, who's an absolute superstar in the NBA, he's got an army of people that help to keep him in the best physical condition and enable him to perform to his very best each time he steps out on the basketball court. And so if we're wanting to succeed in the business side of things, what makes us think that we can just do it on our own and figure it out? We're going to need to have the mindset support. We're going to need to have the strategic support. We're going to need other forms of support as well to help us expedite our journey. And so it's looking at that side of things through a sporting lens that's really helped me to develop the work I'm doing now.
Absolutely, because I mean, you were right up there, weren't you? You were competing at world championship level.
Yeah.
Not one, but two martial arts, is that right?
So yeah, Taekwondo and kickboxing were the two that I was competing in. Yeah.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Wowzers. So full-on hardcore disciplines. I mean, any sport at that level is hard. Did you get access to much mindset sort of coaching then? Was it labelled as that, or was it just part of the coaching package?
It's a good question, because I went on a bit of a personal development journey myself, and it started when I was probably around 15 or 16, and I picked up a visualization practice from somewhere, and I don't recall where, but I started to try it, and that really helped me in the very short term, because I would only really practice it when I was at the arena for the tournament. I didn't practice it as much outside. If I had, who knows, I might have even had more success than I did. But it really helped to get me into the mindset that I needed to be in, get me into that flow state that people talk about, and give the best performance that I could at the time. And so that was the way I started with it was my own learnings that I was just playing with and implementing a little bit. But then later on, as I got older, then I started to get some more specialized support as well for some issues that were going on with mindset stuff particularly. And again, it helped me overcome issues that I was having, but then also helped me to enhance and perform better. Yeah.
So it came from a slightly different route then, because I guess now in a more enlightened world, I mean, I'm talking as though like, you're ancient here. Clearly you're not, but things have moved on quickly, haven't they? And there's been a lot of movement in the past 10 years even. Okay, so what has become apparent to me is that, I mean, life is forever evolving, but mindset seems to be more of a common thing talked about in the last 10 years. Now, I don't know if that's just because I've moved into the business field as well as the NHS, and so therefore I've just become more aware of it. That happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yep.
I mean, was it a thing? What do you think?
I think it's probably a bit of both in terms of your awareness of it, but then also it's definitely more in the public consciousness now. It's mental health as a whole, not just the mindset side of things, but mental health in general has become much less stigmatized, and it's much more open now for conversation. And there is a lot more support out there now for people that are struggling with mental health and things like that. And then the mindset side, to my perception anyway, is a bit of an offshoot of that in terms of, yes, you want good mental health, and then also you want a positive growth mindset to help you move forward and achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life. But I would agree that once you're in the field, you see it everywhere. And the mysterious social media algorithms keep showing you things that are related as well.
There's that, yeah.
That too. But definitely it's more of a, or rather it's a less taboo thing now. It's very much a thing that people can talk about in general. And there's a lot more support out there, I think. Yeah.
You raised some really interesting points there. And my brain's going, which one do I start with? Which one do I start with? So the whole issue of mental health being talked about a lot more. Yeah. And that's wonderful, because it should be, because we are a whole being, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Let's face it, we don't function on a mental level and a physical level separately, and an emotional and spiritual level. Let's bring them all in while we're at it. We're a homogenous mix of everything, aren't we?
That's right.
But typical clinical services are still not offering a good service for mental health, in my perception. They are understaffed, under-resourced, and there are a lot of people out there, maybe because it's become more talked about, that are needing more help and that are now feeling that they can reach out.
Absolutely.
I mean, what is there in our world, the world outside of the NHS, that we can offer?
So first and foremost, I think it is just at the very basic level, having some support, someone that you can talk to that's going to be impartial, that's going to lend an ear, maybe a shoulder to cry on if you need it, and give you some unbiased support that you need for whatever it is that you're experiencing, whatever you're going through. And
that's so important.
It really is. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen.
And that's all you need.
Yeah. And then if you want to go further into it and you want more support, then there's other services like clinical hypnotherapy and CBT, psychotherapists, counseling, whatever modality resonates with you the most, I would say, because as you and I both know, especially being in this kind of industry, there's a heck of a lot of different modalities now that are out there in the public consciousness that can help people, and they all work, but some might work better than others for certain people. And it's just finding the type of support and the intervention that really speaks to you as well, and the person delivering it too, because it could be that let's say clinical hypnotherapy, for example, is the right modality, but maybe the hypnotherapist delivering it just isn't quite vibing with you for whatever reason. Through no fault of either of you, you're just not quite resonant. So maybe it's finding a different hypnotherapist, for example. It's one thing to consider, really, as well. But if something is speaking to you, or a particular person as well is on your wavelength and they just get where you're coming from, then maybe that's the person to help you. And whatever modality they do, that's the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is so important, isn't it? You've got to be able to feel the resonance. There's got to be a trust in there and a belief between both parties that this is the right way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the biggest things through my training, was the emphasis on having rapport with the therapist or coach, whatever terminology you want to use. If that rapport isn't there, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, you know? So you have to trust them and they have to trust you as well. It's a partnership.
Yeah, that means a lot, and that resonates so well, because you're never going to heal if you've got resistance. And if that resistance is a lack of rapport, so therefore, you know, no fault of anybody involved, just your personalities aren't aligning.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go elsewhere, and both people have to be brave enough to say that. And that can be hard, can't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it takes courage, definitely.
I can see on looking at that smile that you've had people that you've not rapport with, which happens when you've been in business for, was it 11 years now?
Yeah.
And that's going to happen to everybody, isn't it?
That's right. You can't be all things to all people. And as long as you can recognize that and you can refer on to somebody that might be beneficial, because in this field as well, we know others. We've trained with others. We're probably networking as well with other people who may be in related fields, but not directly the same field, that could help. And so we have a trusted network of people that we can refer out to if it's not a good fit for whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the end of the line, is it?
No, not at all.
Which is really reassuring. And the other thing that came up that I was interested in was, it's back to the mindset thing again. But mindset, if you'd have said that to somebody 20 years ago, they would have probably gone, ooh, that's really woo-woo. Because it wasn't as well understood. And I think part of the reason, as well as the rise in the public health, the public's awareness of mental health, is because of sport and because they are openly talking, and it's seen now on the television and in the radio and whatever other media is out there, that sportsmen and women have mindset coaches to help them to be their best. And people that may think things were woo, if they can see it happening in what they perceive to be something tangible and real, it opens the doors.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly in the last few years as well, there's been more and more professional athletes. Football is one of the main sports that I've noticed it, where fairly high profile footballers are being more open about their mental health struggles as well. And not just the mindset coach side of performance, but also, I'm going through depression and I've been speaking to a therapist or whoever they might be, and they've been helping me to work through it and overcome it. And so having these kind of people with that kind of influence in the mainstream as well, talking about these things, the mental health side and the performance side of things, it definitely helps to just continue the destigmatization of it. And like you said before, Debs, making it more okay for everybody else to seek this kind of support as well.
Yeah, I think especially a lot of people that watch sport, generalization coming up, folks, you know, the fellas, that have been stalwart supporters of a particular football club, you know, and their family was, their father was, their uncles are, their brothers are, etc., quite male dominated. The fact that they can see this happening. Because here in the UK, we very much still got this, stiff upper lip mentality, especially for men. And, you know, men have mental health problems the same as women. And to be able to have footballers speaking out about that and destigmatising it, particularly for this group. Not saying that women don't watch football, play football, but you get the point I'm making.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my experience of working with clients as well, the women that I've worked with in the past and the ones that I work with now tend to be more open and more engaged in the process from the outset. The men have sometimes been pushed to come and see me. They're not necessarily all in on it yet, but then as we start the work and as I explain about the science behind it, and it's not just some woo out there thing, then they get more on board with it. But also, as you said, seeing these high profile athletes, particularly the footballers, the male footballers, talking about these things openly, that gives the guys permission. Okay, yeah, I'm struggling with this, or yeah, I want help with this because I want to achieve, but I don't know how. Something's holding me back. Right, what can we do? So yeah, the women had it figured out a long time before we did. But and I say, you know, we being the men. But yeah, the guys are catching up now,
which is really good, and that's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
And it makes me really happy that high profile figures are doing that. And it's happened to a certain extent in like the film industry for a while, hasn't it? People have been quite public about things for a while, but it's always been, in my perception, in a very dramatic way that can have a complete turn-off effect. Yeah. As well of, oh my God, I don't want that particular catastrophe. So the fact it's coming from sports people that that have to be methodical and strategic and hardworking, I think is a huge bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. And sports can so very often be a artistic representation of life and the struggles that you go through. And our subconscious picks up on that and it can relate to these things. And so, yeah, having these kind of athletes speak out and be representatives of the power of this kind of work, it really just opens things up for more and more people. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, one of my very early guests on this podcast, Mike McCarthy, that was talking about suicide prevention, he has some of his talk clubs set up in the grounds of local football clubs.
Brilliant.
Which is a direct way to access. I mean, it's not only people that watch football that go there, it can be anybody.
Absolutely.
But, you know, it's absolutely shining a beacon and standing up there saying, doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, that's right. And the struggles can happen to anybody. And then the flip side of it, the performance enhancement benefits can be applicable to anybody. Yeah. Whatever you're going through, there's support out there, and the right support will be out there for you. Sometimes you might just have to dig a little deeper to find it, but it's there. It's absolutely there.
Yeah, for true. I agree completely with that. So you said that you were kind of moving things a little bit, morphing what you do. Is there any more you can tell us, or are we going to be left hanging?
So I'll not leave you completely hanging.
Thank you.
But yeah. So for a while now, I've been attracting, and I'll say attracting because I wasn't putting it out there in terms of marketing and the content that I was posting on the social media channels. I was attracting business people and attracting stressed out corporate workers predominantly as well, that were in the system and operating at a fairly high level, but they were getting burnt out. They were stressed out, working every hour God sends. And the business people were the same, but it was just their business. And so I was working with these people and getting lots of breakthroughs with them and real good benefits. But I was focusing a little bit more on working with the athletes at that time. And the realization came to me anyway that, hang on a minute, these people are getting real good breakthroughs and we're getting some real tangible results with them, but I'm not advertising to them. I'm not marketing to them or anything. They're finding me. So something is resonating with them that I'm doing clearly for them to reach out in the first place. And so with those realizations myself, and then speaking to a business coach last year who was discussing the way that I was running my business and the things that I was doing, the people that I'm attracting as well as targeting, I was told that, yeah, perhaps those should be the people that you really focus on helping now, because they're coming to you anyway. You're getting great results with it. So
it's clearly
focus on it. Yeah, clearly a need. Focus on it. Go for it with those people. So the wheels have been in motion for a little while now. And then for a little while again, not quite as long, but for a little while now, I've been having some mentorship as well that's really, really helped me to develop my program and the things that I'm delivering, the way that I'm delivering it to these people. And it's a development of a proprietary system really that's helped to sort out any mindset issues, anything going on like that, any subconscious programming that's holding them back, but then also giving them the practical strategies of how to expedite the wealth and make more success out of the business while reducing overhead, fixed costs and risks. All these kind of practical metrics, we can address those as well as the psychological stuff as well. So it's hitting two different areas now, even more so, and it's more developed out, and we're getting some really good results with it.
Which is wonderful. And it's so obvious listening to you that this is your niche because you are a businessman and you have been an elite athlete and still practice the disciplines of keeping fit and healthy and looking after yourself.
Absolutely.
It absolutely has Stuart written all over it.
Yeah, I like to think so. And it's definitely resonating with me even more as well as I'm delivering this.
That's wonderful.
So the clients are getting good results and I'm loving it as well. You know, if I was hating it, then I'd be concerned. But no, it's a win-win. Yeah.
I mean, that's the perfect situation, isn't it?
That's right.
If you get a win-win and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And I think from what I've seen, a lot of the offers out there tend to be, you know, oh, we can do this, that, and the other. And we'll do a bit of work on this and we'll come to some resolution. But then there's no plan. There's no strategic support, which sounds what is quite different and of huge value to what you're in what you're offering. Yeah,
that's right. With the program, we've got it built out for a year. So we've got all the things that we need to hit, the things that we need to address, but then also there's flexibility in it as well. You know, there's the framework that we're working from, but we need to address the individuals and their businesses' issues as well.
For sure, yeah.
And it's finding that balance and making sure that we're knocking over all the dominoes, essentially.
Yeah, because say, for instance, somebody really excelled in one part of it more so than you expected. There's got to be that inbuilt flexibility, hasn't there? Which I know you're capable of that beyond doubt. So they're obviously getting a lot of value and they know when they join, they're with you for a year.
Yeah. 6 months at a minimum, but I tell them going in, we're going to get really good results in a year. So stick with me, trust the process, and we'll take it as far as we can take it.
I mean, the rapport you must be able to build up with these people over that amount of time, that must be a reward in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. We develop that trust between us more and more as we go. And there's very much an accountability to it as well. I will keep them accountable for the things that they said they want and what we're looking at achieving, what we're really striving hard towards. And in a roundabout way too, I'm accountable because I know that I need to show up and give these people my A game every week when I see them.
So you see them weekly?
Generally weekly. Obviously, we make allowances for life events and, people go on holidays and scheduling conflicts and things like that. But we try to see each other each week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really excellent level of service, because sometimes you get once a month and you're kind of left floating and wondering what's next. And so to keep people pushing forward, it makes a lot of sense. Because a week comes around pretty quick, doesn't it? Exactly,
yeah. It's enough time to implement the things that we want to implement and to practice the mindset strategies as well that we want to really practice and hardwire in our nervous system. But it's also a pretty high pace, pretty high turnover. There's no real time for complacency with it. We're on this train and we're keeping the momentum moving forwards now.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, can see it moving.
That's it.
From where you are to where you're going to be, your
Absolutely.
destination.
Yeah.
And what about your 5-year journey then? You mentioned earlier. I mean, what does that look like?
So that's something that I'm still clarifying, in all honesty. And I'm having to practice what I preach with all of this too. I'm setting out my targets and the big vision that I have as well. And so for me, it's still under construction, but I'm clarifying the details, and there's going to be a lot more international travel in the coming years, certainly. There's going to be more events and things that I'll be running as well and helping to facilitate too in the UK and in other destinations as well. So it's all going to be what I'm starting to do more of now, just continuing to grow and expand. Yeah.
I can see you commanding an audience. You have a presence.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
It's very calm, but very commanding in a very gentle way, not a forceful way. So I can see you doing that very easily. Yeah. How do you feel with a microphone in your hand?
Oh, I feel great with it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's funny. I was told recently that by an American, so the English isn't great, but I was told recently that I bring the chillness with the way that I present myself, and like you said, I like to think that it is a calmer but more forceful authority, but it's my personality.
I seem to have got my wording fairly accurate there then. I'm pleased about that, because that's the way, to me, you come across, is that you definitely have a presence. And that may well be from your personality, but I'm sure that a lot of that is driven by the structured environment you lived in and embraced for many years with sport.
Yeah, absolutely. That whole nature v nurture debate, I'm firmly on the fence with that. I think it's both. There's definitely innate things, but there's also things that I've developed through my training and everything that I've gone through in my life. Yeah. Yeah,
because your story of getting into clinical hypnotherapy is a really interesting one, isn't it? Do you want to just give a couple of minute synopsis?
Yeah, sure. So I was competing at a high level in martial arts from the age of 13. Started training, competing at 6. Didn't enjoy it or have much success until I got to about 12 or 13. And then, as I alluded to earlier, I started doing the visualization practice when I was 15, 16. It helped even further with the success I was having in competition. And after having competed on the world stage for a few years, I hit a stumbling block and my confidence suffered with my fitness. That was the thing. I ended up losing a bunch of big tournaments on the bounce because I got so badly fatigued, and it totally messed with my head. That was the thing. My confidence was shot. I just was expecting to lose and be gassed out. And so I went to see a clinical hypnotherapist who helped me to flick that switch in my subconscious so that that was no longer an issue. I didn't change my training. I didn't change my diet. Probably should have done, but I didn't. It was just this that I addressed. And sure enough, whatever that thing was that was holding me back subconsciously, it was addressed. And I was able to move forward and compete then. And that was the point where hypnosis as a modality was really brought to my attention. And I was living proof that it worked. So at that point, I was super curious to understand it, how it worked, what's the science behind it. And so that's what led me into studying clinical hypnotherapy and then further down the line, doing more of the high performance stuff as well.
Thank you for that. That's a really nice little summary, because it, to some people, there doesn't seem to be an obvious link. But with your story, it's just like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah. And with hindsight, I can see that it's perfectly obvious. It makes total sense that I went down that path. But at the time, it wasn't really a consideration. Even when I first sought the help, I wasn't thinking about building a business out of it and helping a bunch of people around the world. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just super curious and wanting to learn at that point. And hopefully it would continue to help me more. But off the back of that, seeing the power of it and the shifts that I had myself, I see that there's a lot of people out there that could have this intervention as well to help them. And so that's how I got into it as a business as well. Did you look into other modalities back then, or, and dismissed them?
So not really, in all honesty. The only other modality which is an offshoot of hypnosis is NLP. And that was how I first got started. It was NLP that was my first proper qualification in this field. And then it went into the clinical hypnotherapy and everything else after it. But I wouldn't say that I looked at other things and disregarded them. These were just the things that were brought into my awareness. I had the benefits myself, so I went into them.
Wonderful. Yeah. Because, all those years ago when you were looking for something, clinical hypnotherapy must have been fairly new and fairly out there, even though hypnotherapy itself isn't, is it? It goes back hundreds of years, our sort of awareness and learnings about it.
Yeah, it did seem a little out there, but my curiosity superseded that. That was the thing. And, I like the mystery of things as well. And so this was something that was a bit mysterious, a little bit strange, but super curious. And that led me into it. And I'm really grateful that it did.
I think that probably helped.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because that drives your learning, doesn't it? If you're curious, you just want to keep seeking out more and more knowledge, and you were open and receptive to the benefits of it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the way we learn, isn't it? Having curiosity and interest in something is far, far better than sitting and trying to just grind your way through something that you have no interest in whatsoever. So,
and we've all done that, haven't we?
Oh yeah, yep.
I mean, that's demoralising, isn't it? And it's exhausting.
Yeah,
and it's hard bloody work.
That's right.
Don't want any of that.
No.
Don't want any of that. And you mentioned about international clients potentially as well. Do you do most of your work over Zoom or, phone or whatever? So that's physicality isn't a problem normally.
Yeah, I work with clients remotely as well. I have clients that are in the US, Europe, Middle East, even worked with someone in Australia once. And so it's either Zoom calls or other
something similar.
Other video providers,
Yes.
video call providers, or sometimes phone calls as well, depending. Some of my clients are super busy and whatnot, and they don't necessarily have the time to be sitting in front of a computer, so we'll take a call while they're going between meetings and things like that. But as long as the internet connection holds up at both ends and we manage the time difference appropriately, there's no barrier to it. You don't have to be in the physical location anymore, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Do some people seem to still want to insist on that, or is society a bit more accepting these days?
Some people are insistent on that. And in all honesty, I prefer it that way as well. Yeah. But doing it in a remote way like that just opens up all the barriers then, because it could be that somebody really likes the message, wants my help, but they live in another country. So how can they can't come and see me per se, and I might not be able to go and see them. So this is a perfect solution to that. Yeah. And it can work just as well, if not better as well, because hopefully they're in an environment where they're already comfortable.
Yes, I get you. That makes sense. Yeah. But I know you have traveled to see clients, haven't you?
Yeah, I have traveled to see clients, and it's not something that I publicize all that much, but it is an option if we can make it work. Yeah,
if the circumstances are right.
Yes.
Yes, on a very individualized, personal basis.
Correct.
Not as I'm out there to do this kind of.
Yeah, and that would be different than, say, the 6-month or year program. I wouldn't be jetting off somewhere each week. As lovely as that would be to see one client, it would be a slightly different offering that, again, we agree in advance how we're going to do that.
Yeah, completely. I'm sure you get sick of airport security as well pretty damn quick if you had half a dozen clients, for instance, that you were doing that for.
Quite possibly.
Yes, tedium. You don't want any of that. But I like the fact that you do have a plan, even if it's not crystallized yet. You have some thoughts that you are moving forwards, and it's not just about you. It's about taking your client base with you.
Yeah, that's right.
And sort of helping them in an even better way.
Yeah, that's right. It's developing my skill set to help them. And if you're not getting smarter, you're getting stupider, as Dr. Richard Bandler once said very eloquently. Yeah.
Yeah, eloquent. But it's true, isn't it? I mean, we all have to keep moving forwards, else we're moving backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. As you well know from your work in medicine, the body wants homeostasis. It doesn't want things to be effortful, but the paradox of homeostasis is that if you don't use it, you lose it. And so systems downregulate, and so you don't actually end up staying the same, you end up getting worse. And so we have to keep moving forwards. We have to keep moving our bodies. We have to keep learning and developing new neural pathways in the brain and new thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to get us to where we want to be. We can't just stay the same and in the same place because we're going to stagnate.
Yeah. So it's like giving ourselves little challenges, almost, or big challenges in some cases.
Yeah, that's it. Pick a big challenge, whatever it is, and then reverse engineer it. What small steps am I going to need to take that will get me to that place? Because oftentimes the big vision can be so scary and sometimes a bit overwhelming. And then those seeds of doubt are going to creep in, and that little voice in the back of your head, you can't do this, that's too big. But if you break it down, reverse engineer it, what could that plan look like? Okay, so I only need to do this today, and then I need to do that tomorrow. And it's easier then to take these small actions and build the momentum then that will take you to the big goal, however far down the line that is. Yeah.
Yep. Is it hard to go from, for instance, a 5-year plan to a daily plan of action?
It doesn't have to be. And I would suggest that the more simple you can make it, the better. But it can be as simple or as elaborate as you need it to be. As long as you have the drive and the deep reason why you want that thing, that's going to fuel you through the hows and through figuring it out. Because if you don't have that strong reason why you want this thing in the first place, doesn't matter how low hanging the fruit is of that first action that you need to take each day, if you're not really bothered, you're probably not going to do it. But if you've got a burning desire to do it, then you'll figure it out.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So maybe a person who isn't getting hold of this low-hanging fruit needs to look at their longer-term goal, their reason why.
Yeah, that's it. The two different things. That's it. The long-term goal, the vision that you've got, and then the reason why you want it. Because sometimes that thing that we want isn't really what we want. It's been installed in us from caregivers, teachers, peers, TV, something else. But maybe it's been perpetuated in our minds for a while, and so we just think it's our own, but actually it's not. And so taking inventory of that, having a look at that, is that thing what I really want? Yes, no. If yes, okay, why do I want it? And get into the emotions of it, because it's the emotions that are going to really give you that drive, the deep burning desire to have that thing. It's emotional, and you've got to tap into that and got to allow yourself to tap into that. Give yourself permission.
That is interesting. I like that. And you're right, because if your goal isn't driving you, the long-term one, you need to then be able to take the time. And maybe that's where some of the problem is. Today's world, we don't sit and take the time. And so it's easier to take on all these other influences and not self-synthesize what it really is.
Absolutely. That's right. Everything's so fast-paced nowadays, and especially with those little computers that we all have in our pockets, especially with social media and other notifications as well, news notifications, and everything is just go, 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 go. And it's so easy to get sucked down the rabbit hole of all of that. And then, as you said there, Debs, get taken away from ourselves and not actually synthesize who we are and what we want at our core. So taking some time, like you said, put the phone down, sit with yourself and see what it is that lights you up and where you want to go in your life.
And as I've got older and thought more about my particular journey, I found that it's not just about me, which society seems to want us to make it. And maybe for me, certainly that's where some of the falsehood comes in, because it's not just about me. Yes, I do want to go on the journey. Yes, I do want to achieve. Of course, I'm a human being who's motivated and wants to do things. but it's about what I'm doing, how it's going to affect other people, what the knock-on effect of what I'm doing is actually far more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And one of the things that I was taught in martial arts from a fairly young age, I would guesstimate probably when I was 9 or 10 that this first came into my awareness, was the analogy of a team and what it stands for as an acronym. Together, everybody achieves more.
I've not heard that before.
And we're all a team on this planet. So, we need to come together in whatever way, shape, or form that looks to achieve more, because you can only go so far on your own. But if you want to go really far, you need to go together. You need support.
That sort of thing I have heard before, but I love it as an acronym. Maybe I have a bit of a thing for acronyms. I just think they're so easily memorable. Yeah. And, learning medicine, there's a lot of acronyms and mnemonics that get chucked in there to help you to remember things. And normally, the ruder they are, the better, because they stick in your mind. I'm not going to repeat anybody now, don't worry. But the thing like team, I mean, when you were saying that, I was thinking, no man is an island, which is a statement I'm sure everybody's heard. But what does it really mean? If you haven't got the time and the headspace, you're just going to dismiss that.
That's right.
But the acronym of team, together everybody achieves more. See, I've remembered it.
Yep, simple as that.
There we go. Oh, what a golden nugget. And that sort of thing could help people, couldn't it?
That's it.
It's clearly helped you, which is marvellous.
Absolutely. And if you take a step back and look at the time again that we've all got 24 hours in the day. X amount of that's going to be taken up sleeping, then eating, going to work, socializing, family time, whatever. How much time do you actually have then to devote to your vision, the thing that you're working towards? You work with what you've got 100%. But if it's only you that's working towards it, how far can you get in those few hours that you get each day? If you've got a team, if you've got support, you can expedite that journey and you can get there faster. And so it works on a number of levels. But yeah, if you want to go far, you've got to go together. And
I guess your presence in a team means you are helping the other individual members no matter what role you play within that team.
That's it. It's a collaborative effort, and you always want it to be a win-win-win for everybody involved.
Yeah, totally. I mean, collaboration is what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, collaboration, not competition. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, we went on a walk the other day, didn't we? And we're chatting about all this kind of stuff. And I needed to have the conversation and the food when we got to the bottom end before I went back up those Sheffield hills. And on a few occasions, both of us were having goosebumps about the things we were talking about. And when I thought about it on when I was driving home, those moments came when we were talking about people helping each other.
Yeah, that's right. I believe that so many of us get into these types of professions because we want to help people at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. We've probably been through some tough stuff ourselves, and were quite possibly guided through that and helped and supported through that by someone else. And so you want to pay it forward. You want to be that reciprocal support for someone else that might be going through things as well, and also want to just really achieve things.
Yeah.
If you've been there, you've done that, you've got the t-shirt, you want to pay it forwards.
Yeah. Oh, this is lovely. I'm so excited to hear that things are moving for you. Because when we talked, however long ago it was ages ago now, wasn't it, when we recorded your first episode?
Yeah.
You were doing well with what you were doing. And I got the impression then that the cogs were just starting to click forwards for you. We're doing well. Nothing wrong with where you were. But now your vision's starting to kick in.
That's it. And it's been a paradigm shift for me, particularly in the last few months as well, as to what's actually possible.
How exciting.
And for example, I'll just talk briefly about this. I was with a client the other day down in London, and we were discussing my work. We talked about his stuff, and we were just catching up. It wasn't a formal session or anything like that. So we talked about what was going on with him, catching up, etc., and then talking about me and the business and where things are going. And I was expressing to him some of the vision, and I unwittingly let slip a limiting belief that even I wasn't aware of at that point. And his response to it was brilliant, because he just looked at me and just very nonchalantly said, "Why not? Why can't you do that?"
Oh,
I was like, yeah, actually, you're right. Why not? Exactly. Thank you for pulling me up on that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And that's it. It's when you expand that paradigm, you're probably going to meet a wall at some point. Are you going to stay limited by that, or are you going to break through it? And sometimes all it takes is for somebody like that to just very nonchalantly say, well, why not?
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah.
And it just gives you permission to believe again. And yeah, you're right. Let's expand. Let's keep going.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, I hope you meet lots and lots and lots of people that say things like that to you if you need it.
Yeah. And that comes again into this team that we're creating, like-minded individuals, maybe not all on the same path, but all of the same mindset. And we bounce off each other. We lift each other up. When one of us is struggling, we pull them up, and vice versa. And yeah, that's the goal. Get around as many like-minded people as we can and expedite the journey.
Wonderful. Oh, we're just going to have to do this again when things are moving a little bit further along for you as well, because this is a fascinating journey. And it's been an absolute delight to catch up with you again about it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I've really enjoyed catching up again. And yeah, let's see what's happening the next time we meet.
Absolutely. And you're looking very slick, by the way. I hadn't complimented you on your
Thank you.
suit.
I do my best with it.
Well, all the best going forward, my lovely.
Thank you. You too.